I came across a story this morning and thought, wow, I have little guys, grandchildren, and they are basically glued to their iPad
All
more
kids
often
are.
than not, right? And you see it all the time, right? So here's the deal. Maybe before plopping your child in front of the TV or the laptop or the iPad, you might now want to at least think twice, because there's a new study that shows children should not be watching any TV until they're at least 3 years old. Dr. Karen Heffler is an associate professor at Drexel University and is on the line. Dr. Heffler, thanks for being here.
I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah, let me begin by asking the question. This has become a default for a lot of parents, right? Because it keeps your child busy. You just plop them in front of the iPad. You don't think twice. And when I say your child, I've seen little guys, I mean literally 1 and 2 years old, being able to do this. And the suggestion now, based on this research, is that's a bad idea. So the question, I guess, would be why?
Well, what we looked at was early screen time. So we looked at how much TV and videos children were watching at 12 months, 18 months, and 24 months. And then we looked at sensory processing at 33 months. And we found that children that were watching any screens compared to no screens had twice the odds of having a typical sensory processing if they were watching at 12 months. And again, the outcome was when they were 33 months. So early screen time is associated with atypical sensory processing. At 18 months and 24 months, we found similar findings. It was over 20% increased odds of having atypical sensory processing. So when we talk about sensory processing, we think about what a child sees, hears, smells, feels, and these categories were then recategorized into sensory processing categories, including sensory seeking, like being attracted to spinning or shining objects, playing with food, sensory avoiding, resisting new foods, resisting being held, or like escaping noisy environments, sensory sensitivity, so a child that would easily startle or cry when exposed to a different type of a surface or different temperatures, meltdown with schedule changes, and a category called low registrations, which basically means that the child needs more sensory input to get the response. So they may avoid eye contact, be slow to respond to their name or to familiar voices. So these are the types of atypical sensory processing that we found associated with early screen time.
My first reaction is, wow, yeah, exactly. To hear all those things that affect little guys. This is now why at the age of 3? What changes at age 3?
Okay, so our study was through age 2 years. So, and the recommendations of the American Academy of Pediatrics are no screen viewing through at least 18 months, and then maybe a little bit of screen viewing with the parents co-viewing up until 24 months, and only 1 hour a day through age 5. So it's actually no screen viewing up until 18 to 24 months. But what happens is that children understand what they're watching so that they would watch a program and learn the content of it. And particularly if the parents are talking about what's going on in the show and relating it to the child's usual activities, then the child can understand. But an infant doesn't understand what they're watching. So their brain would be processing the audio visual in terms of the lights and the images and the movement and colors and sound. And we think that could potentially affect early brain development.
That is absolutely fascinating. And then I wonder, so limiting to 1 hour within, I think you said 18 to 24 months. And then from that point on, is the normal, I've always heard, is 2 hours. So and that even to me seems like a lot for young children.
Well, the recommendations, most of the recommendations are only 1 hour through age 5 and then 2 hours over age 5 of entertaining programming. And that doesn't include if the children are having educational programming in school. That's a separate category. Okay. And then also I want to comment that video chatting is also considered differently because the person is interactive with the baby or the young child. So that's not considered in the same category as entertainment.
Okay.
I'm curious. So wait, I had said originally iPad, laptop. This is basically any viewing, whether you're on your laptop or whether you're watching TV that you're not interacting with?
So this particular particular study, the children were enrolled at birth between 2011 and 2014. So it covered video and TV. It was before mobile devices were really available.
Okay.
But we think that similar mechanisms would probably apply to mobile devices because there's most of the time when children are viewing, they're viewing video. So we did look at TV video.
Okay.
And so it sounds to me, ultimately, it's about processing, right? So when they're little, it's the way, like you said, they're processing on a much more visceral level. And as they get older, that the way that they're processing what they're viewing changes.
Yes, because they understand. They may understand things in a social context. They understand the relationships between people or whatever they're viewing. Whereas it's a sensory processing for babies. They're not going to understand the content of what they're watching.
You know, I'm just thinking for parents listening to this who may sit back and go, what, only an hour? That doesn't seem like a lot when you just plant your child in front of the TV because you're busy doing stuff and it's 2 hours or 3 hours later. That's going to be a bit of a challenge, I would guess, for some parents.
Well, what I would say is that traditional toys can be really useful, and young children can play with the old, the blocks and the cups and the balls and those types of traditional toys, little farm animals. And parents can also engage their children in family routines, so the children could be involved a little bit when the parents are doing laundry, and the parents could still use that time to teach about big and little and red and blue and those types of things. But it is challenging, and what I would say is that parents should just do the best that they can, and hopefully this information will empower them to at least have information about screen time and child development, that they could consider this, if at all possible, in how they have their child spend time.
Now, you're not thinking about this. It's too late now. Your daughter's 11, but...
Yeah, my daughter's 11, and I just find the addiction of it is so incredibly troubling. Like, it's just become part of their routine to have a little bit of screen time. Trying to get them off it is literally mission impossible. It's so frustrating. And I assume, again, that has something to do with how it's triggering the brain, if you will.
Yes, and I think it's different for older children. For the very young children, like infants, it may be easier to turn off the screens. But again, the parents a lot of times are involved with their own screen media. So if they're, if the parents have the opportunity and the resources to use that time with their child, then those types of interactions have been shown to be positive for early childhood development. But it is a true struggle.
Yeah, it's a struggle for adults, so imagine
what
for
it is
children.
For kids, Dr. Wanna, thank you so much for your time today. We very much appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dr. Karen Heffler over at Drexel University. I'm just thinking, and I'm not indicting anyone here, I'm just saying, what, parents, you're busy, you're in the house, you put your kid down in front of the TV or whatever, and you don't think of how long it's going to be, right?
And you don't think about the effect that it's having.
Well, we don't know, but now we're
their
starting
brain.
to find out. But what do? You go back, you set a timer and go back in an hour and just take that away from them? I can't imagine that's going to be easy to do.
It was interesting what she said about how it's so much easier to take it away from from infants than it is. It's so true because they don't freak out the same way. They're not going to argue with you and try and negotiate and reason.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's just that whole idea, though, of realizing that there should be a limit, which I think a lot of parents probably don't, even for little guys, for 2-year-olds.
Oh, I think most parents know that there's a limit and that you should be trying to. But like I said, I think we also heard for a long time that 2 hours a day was okay.
Yeah.
Now she said 1 hour a day up to 5, and then from that point on 2 hours a day. But it depends also what they're consuming.
Okay. Well, there just trying to provide a little help for you if you got the little guys at home, and that's something worth paying attention to.